Welcome to First. I'm Shirley Min along with Nichelle Polston and Mark Eichman. A former peach farm below the canal could become a place where homeless veterans can get the help they need.
Feral cats have been a problem in Delaware for years. Now progress is being made to reduce that population. More this week on the volunteer effort to deal with the problem.
And the Christina Cultural Arts Center turns 70. It's a great chance to look at how we are shaped by the way each ethnic group has called Delaware home. First, your public media news magazine starts now.
As we honor veterans this weekend, we begin with an issue that sometimes comes up after their service: how to smoothly transition to civilian life. A new resource for veterans in Middletown is trying to answer that question by removing all the barriers that sometimes get in the way. We'll take you to Victory Village in our first look, a place organizers hope will be a one-stop shop for veterans looking to find their way. On what was once a 5-acre peach farm sits a centuries-old mansion that now serves as one of Delaware's newer resources for veterans. Victory Village is an 8-bedroom, 5-bath home offering transitional housing to homeless veterans looking for a fresh start.
We're creating an environment here that supports people being motivated.
Nick Colazzo is running things. He's the executive director of the National Veterans Assistance Coalition, the nonprofit behind Victory Village. The facility on Poor Pen Road can house 24 male veterans in the dorm for 2 years max. This is what the rooms look like. There are 4 beds to a room. Every veteran gets their own locker that locks. And everyone who comes here and stays here gets one of these goodie bags full of toiletries. For now, Marine Joe Lewis is the only person living here. He heard about Victory Village from a pastor at the Sunday Breakfast Mission in Wilmington, where he'd been staying for the past 3 years.
I've lived in cars, I've lived in vans, I've really been down and out. 9 times out of 10, when you're homeless, people don't even see you. It's almost as if you're invisible.
The Homeless Planning Council of Delaware's 2016 point-in-time one-night count of the homeless found of the more than 1,000 people experiencing homelessness in the state, 107 of them identified as military. That's 10%.
When you can't get a job because you're homeless, it's even worse. So for Victory Village, to give a homeless veteran a place to stay and be able to go out and get a job and to make themselves better, thumbs up.
But more than just a roof over their heads, Colazzo envisions Victory Village being a one-stop shop for veterans.
When somebody calls here and wants to speak with somebody dealing with maybe emotions, we connect them with somebody that's PTSD. Finances, we connect them with somebody that can take care, like Operation Homefront. We connect them with behavioral. We connect them with the person from the VA. We connect them with benefits and all. We connect them with somebody from the Commission on Veterans Affairs.
Colazzo's trying to eliminate the frustrating runaround vets often experience after leaving the service. His goal is to connect veterans directly to the organizations and services they need, here on the second floor or elsewhere on the property.
What we need is more collaboration and less competition. All the organizations that I'm talking about are doing great things, but they're silos. And they do certain things, and not everybody knows what that particular silo does.
Colazzo walked around the property with me, showing me its potential. He wants to turn a ranch house in the back of the property into housing for 8 female veterans and convert this barn into a PTSD rehab center with help from the VA. He says plans are in the works to rebuild this garage into training rooms where vets can become certified in small engine and electrical repair, plumbing, heating, and carpentry, and a meditation path made of bricks that can be bought to honor veterans or non-veterans. It'll provide a quiet place for vets and, in part, help fund Colazzo's vision. Chores come with the stay here, but Lewis says he likes to keep busy.
I've got the pool that I deal with. I've got this 5 acres of land to take care of when I can stay up.
Lewis works overnights at a printing press and is applying for a second job so he can start saving money to get a place of his own.
There's veterans out there that went in young like myself, came back after 10, 15 years and know nothing else but the military, and they need something. this will help. When my other guys come in here, I hope I can be an example to them and help them to be just as strong as I.
Colazzo wants to take Victory Village across the country, not only to end veteran homelessness, but also to give our veterans a chance to make something of themselves. They've certainly earned it. Nick Colazzo says now there are 8 veterans living in Victory Village, which is modeled after the Home of the Brave in Milford, another transitional housing nonprofit. But Colazzo says by offering things like counseling, job training, and resume help, Victory Village takes things a step further.
And so are these services that are available to veterans now?
Some of them are, Mark. You know, Colazzo says he already has this partnership with the Department of Labor, so they're helping with things like interviewing skills, resume writing. He's also teamed up with a building and contracting union that's going to provide some hands-on training. So there are a lot of things already there and still in the works.
And these kinds of things don't come cheap. How is this funded?
So Victory Village receives some one-time funding from the state. They also receive some pretty hefty grants from the Longwood and Crystal Trust Foundations. The thing is, a lot of that foundation money went into retrofitting the mansion to have it meet fire and current accessibility codes. So donations are important and needed, Colazzo says, and you can do that by going to nationalvac.org.
All right, Shirley, thanks. The issue of veterans returning to the civilian world is the subject of our latest WHYY original productions. Veterans Coming Home airs Monday at 9 on WHYY TV. And in that area around Port Penn and other parts of Delaware, you've probably noticed dozens and dozens of feral cats. It was a problem that seemed like it could never be controlled, but over the last year, a group of mostly volunteers has been working hard to limit their numbers. More than 10,000 free-roaming cats like this one are believed to live just in the northern Delaware communities of Newcastle, Newark, and Bear. Felicia Cross, founder of Forgotten Cats, is working to control those numbers.
So what we're going to do is we're just going to bait a couple of these and take them around. And you want to be very quiet and walk them in, place them, and leave.
When called by residents, volunteers with Forgotten Cats will place traps where a feral cat colony lives.
Got him.
The goal is to interrupt the reproductive process and reduce the colony population.
Most caretakers that are feeding them, they don't intend to have a colony. They find 1 or 2 cats and they start feeding them, and the next thing you know, there's a litter. And then the litter has a litter, and before you know it, it goes out of control very quickly, and they feel totally overwhelmed.
Trapping and collecting an entire colony, as the Forgotten Cats team does, can make a quick impact on that colony growth.
It's very easy. Within a week, a colony of 2 or 52 can be sterilized and under control.
Here's how it works. Once caught, the captured kitties are taken to one of Forgotten Cats' clinics. This one just north of the Delaware border in Trainer, Pennsylvania.
What you're looking at here is our trap room. This is where most of the cats come after they're trapped. The cats are sterilized, spayed and neutered, vaccinated.
After years of sterilizing up to 100 cats a day, the clinic runs like a well-oiled machine. From sedating the cats in their cage to shaving them in preparation for surgery, then it's into the operating room.
This is a female cat that we're about to spay, so she's tied down to the spay board just to make sure that she's positioned correctly for the surgery.
Dr. Jackie Martin has single-handedly sterilized roughly 50,000 over the past 10 years at Forgotten Cats.
I usually average between 60 and like 85 a day, and on really busy summer days I've done over 110. So that's about the record.
This one is like a limp rat.
After surgery, it's out to the recovery room.
Not waking up yet.
In 2015, Forgotten Cats was awarded a $200,000 grant to target cat populations in Bear, Newark, and Newcastle. That work appears to be paying off. The grant was to fund 4,000 sterilizations from those communities. So far, about 3,000 cats have been sterilized.
The calls from the grant areas have slowed down considerably. So I'm not sure if that's because kitten season's over and it's not an urgency anymore, or it's because there aren't that many unsterilized colonies anymore. So I'm hoping that's the case.
Forgotten Cats expects to sterilize its 100,000th cat since it started more than 10 years ago. And it's not just reducing the population, it's improving the quality of life for these animals.
Not only are we preventing, an overpopulation of cats, we're also preventing the cruelty that these kittens would have to endure had they been born on the streets. So it's solving the problem as opposed to band-aiding the problem.
While more than 3,000 cats have been sterilized thanks to the PetSmart grant, there's only funding for less than 1,000 more. So Forgotten Cats is looking for more financial help to feed, house, vaccinate, and sterilize even more kitties. They're also looking for volunteers to join their team.
Coming up on First, travel around the world through an artist studio in Bethany Beach. Also, a look at 70 years of arts right around the corner at the Christina Cultural Arts Center. It's all ahead on this edition of First.
There will be two different faces as part of Delaware's elected leadership. Lisa Blunt Rochester will go to Congress. She will replace the man who will be the new governor, John Carney. On Wednesday, we sat down with the man who will leave that office, Governor Jack Markell.
We want this to be as seamless as possible so that when Governor Carney takes office, he and his team can hit the ground running. And we think it's a really important part of our responsibility to end well so that they can start well.
And when you first came into office, you were facing a huge deficit, $800 million and all kinds of problems. John Carney doesn't go into office facing close to that problem, but there is significant economic challenges. How does the way you're sort of setting up the budget kind of jive with what he will come in and do and the challenge that he faces?
Well, we think it's really important that his budget team in particular is very well versed on the challenges that we're facing. So we will plan on including them as soon as they're ready to be part of our conversations as we put together the budget.
And are you confident that the budget that is in effect that passed in June sort of holds that the economic picture through the end of June is okay for this fiscal year?
Yeah, I think the real issue for us is putting together a budget for the next year, and we expect shortfalls. We didn't make some of the cuts at the end of last year that I had wanted to make. So we've got some significant work to do for sure.
And you've talked about the challenge that healthcare costs impact on the state, and that's another thing that that Governor Carney will have to deal with as well. Do you think he will be able to move the ball a little bit more on that?
I hope so, for the because I think he's going to have to, and it's not up to him alone. It's the General Assembly that's going to have to be willing to do some things that they were not willing to do in the last year or two. But we're going to make sure that we communicate that as clearly as possible, be as open as possible, totally open with him and his team.
And the General Assembly obviously stays Democratic, but a big loss in the state Senate surprised a lot of people that were at the Democratic headquarters last night. Surprise you?
It did surprise me.
Patty Blevins.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And she's been, I think, a very strong leader in the state Senate for years now. She came in. I've worked with 3 pro tems over my time, and she came in a few years ago, and I think has done a very good job in some tough circumstances. So she'll be missed for sure. I'll miss her.
And then the other big surprise of last night came nationally with now President-elect Trump going back over your political career, and as you've been watching things, do you remember a night like last night and the surprise that President-elect Trump defeated Hillary Clinton?
No, I've never seen anything like it. It did take me aback, and I think the question now is how do we move forward? And I think it's really important that those in office listen pretty carefully. The country sent a message, and I would say to those who were on the losing end of that battle, we have to continue to work as hard as we can to work together, to work with the other side, so that all people can go as far as their potential will take them. And to the folks who are on the winning side, I just really encourage them to be gracious in their victory. And this is a time for everybody to really work together. He will be the president, and so I think my view is we all want to have the best president we can possibly have, and so I'm hoping that he will surround himself with a great team who will be thoughtful, and that's everybody's committed to try to unify the country.
Delaware's first Congresswoman elected last night, and she talked a lot about sort of taking, like we've heard from other representatives and our senators, taking the Delaware way to Washington and really trying to work across the aisle. Do you see a President Trump sort of building some of that consensus at all?
I hope so. I mean, he certainly is not going to want to go down as a bad president. We can disagree with the kind of things that he talked about during the campaign, but the campaign's over. And so, you know, if he is willing to work to unify the country in reality, in actions, as well as in words, then I think it's incumbent upon others to work with him. And I sure hope that that's where he goes, because if he doesn't, I really fear, you know, that we're in for years and years of additional vitriol.
You did some campaigning for the Clinton campaign this year. Any kind of hint from the crowds that you talked to, folks that you talked to, that this was a concern, that this was even within the realm of possibility from those Clinton supporters?
Well, I went to 3 states. I went to Ohio, and I went to Utah, and I went to New Hampshire. In Ohio and Utah, I was really just working with Democrats. So I, frankly, with them, did not get a big sense. When I went to New Hampshire, it was a different story. And I went to a couple of restaurants and going table to table. And I was amazed, really, by what I was hearing, both in terms of folks who were supporting him, people who unfortunately did not like Secretary Clinton. I thought very highly of her. I thought she would have been a very good president. But you know, and just in terms of being exposed to people who were, you know, really on the fence and expressing their concerns with both candidates, I did think in the end that she would pull it out. I have to say I was wrong, like most of the, you know, people predicting were wrong.
In about 10 minutes, we'll hear from the next governor of Delaware, John Carney. Stay with us.
For 70 years, the Christina Cultural Arts Center in Wilmington has been helping young people, even adults, creatively express themselves and develop their talents. It's a milestone some nonprofit organizations don't get to see. What makes this place so special? Well, we'll take you inside.
Everyone should have a piece of art with them to help them just make the world a better place.
Dara Stevens Meredith, truly a firm believer in the arts. She's so dedicated that she teaches ballet at all levels at the Christina Cultural Arts Center in Wilmington.
I believe that the arts contributes to that hope for the future. It gives people an outlet so that the youth can express themselves. So if they are feeling down, or if there have been a lot of turmoil or a lot of things going on in their life, that they have a place that they can come and express themselves.
Darnell Miller is one who was always able to express himself at this place. He now teaches guitar, sharing his musical talents with others. He's been active here since he was a teenager.
It's home. It's definitely home. There's hope here, you know. Also, I think one of the things that brings me back is a sense of purpose. You know, we go through life, you know, thinking we know what we want to do, and we have a plan, but sometimes there's more to that.
Thanks to the Christina Cultural Arts Center, Miller says he was able to grow into a better artist and better man.
I would be lost, like a ship without a sail. No, I would probably be less aware.
Miller's story is just one of many that started out here, according to Ray Avery, who runs the center that has a background rich in history.
The history of the Christina Cultural Arts Center started with Swedish and Polish immigrants, so that people have the opportunity to preserve and celebrate their cultural traditions. And that is still at the core of the mission today. And we are a center for everyone.
Avery also finds balance in this African dance class. She isn't alone though. Others get to express themselves in private lessons or in drum classes.
Having a forum for self-expression is vital for human development. So we are not just tasked with developing our intellectual capacity. We're tasked with developing our spiritual selves, you know, our emotional selves, and as well as our cognitive functioning.
Whatever the Christina Cultural Arts Center is tasked with, it has proven to be successful for 7 decades, and the goal is to continue that success.
We're just really thrilled to be able to last for 70 years. I mean, that's a testimony in the nonprofit, the changing nonprofit world. It's a struggle. it's a struggle. We need everybody's support.
Because there are not a lot of cultural arts centers in the country, a lot of them shut down, don't have funding. So for this place to be standing strong for 70 years is amazing and very commendable.
In 70 years, the center has grown tremendously. It serves as a place for community engagement. There's also a 5-star preschool academy there and after-school learning. There's also theater classes in addition to music and dance classes. The center is actually a host to a specialized youth violence prevention program. In 1998, the Christina Cultural Arts Center founded Kuwamba Academy, a charter school to demonstrate that children in economically distressed neighborhoods can have high achievements. I also like to add that there's always something new there. Here's a look at the back of the building with artwork and tiles thanks to a community partnership with the Creative Vision Factory. It's already considered a community gem, and now it stands out as one.
If you want to watch our reporting of Return Day, go to newsworks.org/Delaware. Tuesday was obviously a big day nationally. It was also a big day in the first state. So let's return to Tuesday and hear from the next governor of Delaware, John Carney.
No, I didn't expect to run for governor again, frankly. After losing the primary, very close primary to Governor Markell in 2008, I decided to move on and to run for the House, and I was enjoying my work down there. Difficult and challenging, and not here in Delaware. And of course, this opportunity to run really came about because of a tragic situation with the death of our Attorney General, Beau Biden, a good friend of mine and our families. And for me, it really kind of raised the bar, though, about, you don't get a second chance in life often, and to really put everything that I had into this and to recognize the real challenges that we face.
As governor, how will the state balance its budget next year?
Well, that's going to be job number one. I'm going to walk in with a $200 to $300 million deficit. As I said all the way through, we're going to have to have a complete budget reset, look at the spending side and the revenue side. The best way to deal with a fiscal deficit like that is to have your economy grow out of it. So you got to be careful about what you do. You want to make sure that whatever you do, you're competitive and you have a strategy that's pro-growth, so businesses can come here and the businesses that are located here can expand and create jobs.
And by careful on the cost sides or the revenue
both
sides?
Yeah, both. Because you can't afford today. We've become too reliant on certain revenues that are not sustainable in the future, and you all have talked about that. We know a lot about that. We can't, a lot of states and frankly, legislators, congressmen on my side of the aisle look like, well, we can just raise taxes on this or that or the other thing. That's not the way it works for a small state like ours, where you've got to compete in a region with Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, New York, and other states around us. You've got to think about those things in terms of what's going to be best for Delaware's economy. I've worked with Republicans in Congress and with the Republicans here in our state and our Democrats, and I'm confident that tradition will be strong and we'll be able to address the challenges that we face.
You faced a lot of the same challenges that Governor Markell faced.
Absolutely. Maybe his was worse. We were in a free fall in our economy then.
As new leaders take their place in Wilmington, Dover, and Washington, we'll be reporting on the transition that will also take place. So it should be an interesting 2017.
For over 20 years, Delaware artist Tara Funk Grimm has been interpreting the world around her. From Delaware to points around the world, Tara has turned acrylic paint, fabric, and paper into beautiful works of art. Our post-election first experience comes from Tara's Bethany Beach studio.
My name is Tara Funk Grimm, and I'm a water media artist. I use collage and fabrics and paints, and I'm an adventurer, and I'm an inventor, and I discover a lot in my journey on each painting. Each painting that I do starts out with an idea or an intention. There's no reason to do a painting unless you have some idea of what it is that you want to do. And then I pick a composition, like how am I going to arrange it on the paper, and I often do that in my sketchbook. And then I pick the colors. I have a whole bunch of little pieces of paper, so I put some colors together that I like. Then I have big bags of fabrics that I lay out all over the floor. I'll go through and choose fabrics, that I'm going to use, and papers that I'm going to use, and I try to stay within that range. And then I just start, and I start with big pieces of paper, tissue paper, so I work transparently to opaquely, and I work big shapes to small shapes. And in the range of that, I try to find the idea that I had. It's very seldom that I start a painting because I'm inspired. But the inspiration always comes in the doing of it. Every time you make more marks on the paper or you add another shape, it expands the possibilities. When I start a painting, it's like you're in it, like you've married this for a while. And as I start to work on it, it becomes more joyful. The joy of a painting for me is the last 15%. You know exactly what to do, you know exactly where to put it. Magically, this piece, that piece, this piece, the pieces get going faster and faster and faster, and it's just, oh. I do it because I have to. It is something inside that, like, I haven't been painting for a few weeks. It's been actually a month. Your tears are right behind your eyes because you haven't been able to do it. And when I do get back to my studio, I feel it's like, okay, I got it. Even if I have no idea where I'm going with the painting, even if I'm just slopping painting around, there's this release. I love getting down here and working all day. There's nothing better than being in the studio by yourself with a little bit of music on and starting a painting, working until finally you're really in the zone. It's magic. When I first get it done, it's like, I don't know. I don't know if it's right or not right. But after a couple of weeks, you say, like, wow, look at that. Look what happened here. Look what I learned. It's all about that process, that journey. And every time I finish a painting, it's like, wow.
When she's not traveling, Tara splits her time between Delaware and Florida in the winter. You can see her next as part of the Southern Delaware Artist Studio Tour on November 25th and 26th. You can get more information on that and Tara's other shows when you visit her on the web at tarafunkgrim.com.
And coming up next week on First, it's enrollment time for the Affordable Care Act. We'll have some do's and don'ts you should know. And Thanksgiving driving time season is upon us. A Delaware road check on the next First.
Thanksgiving? Good grief.
Already.
Who has time to think about that? Okay, well, at least you gave us some notice. Thanks, Mark.
You're welcome.
That is First for this week. We do thank you for watching. For Mark Eichman and Nichelle Polston and everyone here at First, I'm Shirley Min. Have a great week.